Welcome to another deep dive. You guys sent us a ton of stuff on hypnosis and energy healing and even some ancient spiritual practices.
Yeah, it's quite a collection.
It is. It is. And we're going to be diving deep into chapters 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9 of this PDF you shared.
A lot of numbers.
There are. But it's fascinating stuff. And what we're going to be looking at today is how these seemingly disparate ideas connect. You know, what does hypnosis have to do with energy healing? What does that have to do with ancient spiritual practices?
Right. Like, at first glance, they don't seem to have a lot in common.
Exactly. And what does it all mean for your personal growth and healing? That's what we're going to try to uncover today.
What's really interesting to me is the way these sources kind of weave together modern science and ancient wisdom. You know, they point to this idea that trauma isn't just something you can think your way out of.
Yeah, I was going to say deeper how. What does that actually look like for someone?
Yeah, so think about like Bessel van der Kolk's work in The Body Keeps the Score. He, along with the polyvagal theory, demonstrates how trauma can literally like leave a physical imprint on your nervous system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So imagine your nervous system like this highly sensitive alarm system, right? Constantly scanning for danger.
Okay.
And when you experience trauma, it's like that alarm gets stuck in the on position. And so you're in this constant state of fight, flight, or freeze, and that can manifest in a variety of ways.
Like what?
Oh, you know, chronic pain,
Okay.
digestive issues, weakened immune system.
So it's not just the emotional scars.
Right.
It's about how our bodies are like physically reacting.
Yes.
And potentially struggling, like long after whatever the traumatic event was.
Precisely. And these sources suggest that addressing those physical symptoms is just as important as addressing the emotional ones when it comes to healing trauma.
So we're talking about a more holistic approach.
Exactly. And that's where these ideas of hypnosis and energy healing and even these ancient spiritual practices come in. They offer like a different lens through which to view and address trauma.
Interesting.
One that acknowledges the interconnectedness of the mind, body, and energy.
One of the concepts that you mentioned before really jumped out at me, hypnotic crisis. I'll admit it sounds a little intimidating. Can you shed some light on what that actually means?
Hypnotic crisis might sound alarming, but, you know, think of it more as like a breakthrough than a breakdown.
Right.
It's not about losing control. Instead, picture your conscious mind taking a step back, allowing your subconscious to take the lead.
Okay.
And that creates a space for deeply held emotions and memories to surface.
So it's more like giving your subconscious permission to express what it's been holding on to.
Yes, exactly. And when that happens, it can lead to what the source describes as ecstatic release.
Okay.
It's not just an emotional shift, but it's also a physiological one involving changes in your body's energy flow.
So it's not just about feeling lighter emotionally, but also experiencing like a tangible shift in your physical state.
Precisely. One of the sources shares an example of a client who, after experiencing hypnotic crisis, they described feeling incredibly light and energized. It was like a weight had been lifted both emotionally and physically, and this sense of warmth and joy just flooded in.
That's a powerful image. But if trauma is stored in the body, how do we know where to look? It's not like it comes with a map, right?
Right. Well, that's where this concept of the body's thermal map comes in.
Okay.
Imagine, if you will, like a map of your body that not only shows you like your physical anatomy, but also reflects the flow of energy within.
Okay.
So temperature variations and energy flow patterns can often reveal areas of blockage or stuck energy, which can be indicators of unresolved trauma.
So like a heat map.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a fantastic analogy.
Eh?
And just like a meteorologist can see where a storm is brewing based on those heat maps,
Right.
practitioners of techniques like biofeedback and energy healing can often pinpoint where trauma is stored based on the body's thermal map.
It's amazing to think that our bodies hold so much information if we know how to listen.
They do.
But what about the mind?
Yeah.
Where does that fit into all of this?
The mind, particularly the subconscious, plays a crucial role.
Okay.
Think of it like a vast library of past experiences, beliefs, and memories.
Okay.
These are the programs that run in the background,
Okay.
shaping our thoughts, behaviors, and reactions, often without our conscious awareness.
It's like having an invisible puppeteer pulling our strings.
Right.
But if we're not even aware of the strings, how can we possibly change the patterns?
That's where this exciting concept of neuroplasticity comes in.
Yeah.
Your brain is incredibly adaptable, capable of rewiring itself throughout your life.
So we're not just stuck with whatever programming we received in childhood. We can actually update our internal software.
Exactly. It takes work, but the sources you've shared point to a variety of techniques.
Like what?
From affirmations, visualization, to hypnosis, energy healing that can help you access and reprogram those deeply ingrained beliefs.
I'm starting to see how these pieces fit together, this interconnectedness between the mind, body, and energy. But the source also mentions nonverbal hypnosis.
Yes.
What exactly does that entail?
So hypnosis isn't always about words.
Okay.
Your body language, energy, even your gaze can communicate volumes, bypassing the conscious mind and speaking directly to the subconscious.
Wow.
Techniques like magnetism, mesmerism, and what the source calls fascination, they tap into this nonverbal realm.
Okay, so we're talking about a different kind of communication.
Yes.
One that goes beyond spoken language. Can you give us an example of what that might look like in practice?
Imagine a hypnotist using a swinging pendulum
Okay.
to induce a trance.
Okay.
So the focus on the pendulum's movement, the rhythm, it can bypass the conscious mind's chatter, allowing the subconscious to become more receptive to suggestion.
Oh, wow.
This is fascination at play, using focused attention to create a bridge to the subconscious.
So it's like the hypnotist is speaking directly to the deeper parts of ourselves,
Yeah.
bypassing all the mental filters and defenses that we might have built up over time.
Precisely. And this can be incredibly powerful for accessing and releasing those deeply held emotions, patterns, even memories
Wow.
that might be contributing to those physical symptoms that we were talking about earlier.
It's incredible to think that our bodies and minds hold so much potential for healing if we know how to tap into it.
They do.
But the source also mentions something about the vertical and horizontal dimensions of hypnosis.
Yes.
Can you unpack that for us?
It's about expanding our understanding of what hypnosis can be.
Okay.
Think of it not just as like a deep dive into your inner world, which is the vertical dimension,
Okay.
but also as a way to connect more deeply with your outer world and the people in it.
Okay.
That's the horizontal aspect.
So the vertical is about going inward,
Yes.
exploring our subconscious, while the horizontal is about connecting outward,
Yes.
expanding our relationships and experiences in the world.
Exactly. It's like a cross,
Oh.
with the vertical representing our inner landscape.
And the horizontal representing our external reality. And hypnosis, in its various forms, can help us find balance and integration between these two dimensions.
Fascinating.
It's not just about going deep, it's also about expanding wide.
I'm starting to see how this all weaves together, how these different approaches can work synergistically to support our healing and growth. But now I'm curious about another term that keeps popping up in the source material: energy fields.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that for us?
There's more to you than meets the eye, literally. Think of yourself as being surrounded by an energy field, often called an aura.
Okay.
It's like an energetic blueprint constantly influenced by your physical, emotional, and spiritual state.
Okay, I'm picturing a sort of luminous field that reflects our inner state, like a glowing halo.
That's a great visualization. And within that energy field, we have these dynamic centers of energy called chakras.
Imagine them as like swirling vortexes of energy located throughout the body, each associated with specific aspects of ourselves, physical, emotional, and spiritual.
So they're like little power stations, keeping our energy flowing smoothly throughout our system.
Yes.
But what happens when these chakras get blocked or out of balance?
That's where energy healing comes in.
Okay.
Techniques like magnet therapy, Reiki, quantum healing, they work to clear those blockages and restore balance to the energy flow.
So it's like tuning up your internal circuitry.
Yeah, exactly.
This idea of energy healing is fascinating, but I have to admit, a part of me is skeptical. How do we know this is real, not just woo-woo thinking?
I understand the skepticism, but consider this. What we call energy is simply a way of describing forces that we may not fully understand yet.
Okay.
Think about electricity. We can't see it,
Right.
but we know it's real because of its effects. Energy healing operates on a similar principle, working with subtle energies that can have profound effects on our physical, emotional, and mental well-being.
So it's not about believing in something blindly.
Right.
It's about being open to the possibility that there are forces at work that we're only beginning to comprehend.
Precisely. Think of energy healing as a way to fine-tune your inner workings. When our energy is flowing freely, we feel more vibrant, more alive, and our bodies can heal more effectively.
That's really interesting. It's about recognizing that we're not just physical beings, but also energetic beings.
Yes.
And that addressing both aspects is crucial for holistic well-being.
Exactly. Now, there's another concept in these sources that I think we should unpack.
Yeah.
The idea of ecstasy.
Okay.
It seems to be more than just a feeling of pleasure in this context.
Yeah, it does seem to be about something deeper.
Yes.
It sounds like it's being used to describe a state of profound connection, healing, even a kind of spiritual awakening.
Exactly. These sources are challenging the way we typically think about ecstasy. It's not just about fleeting moments of pleasure. It's about tapping into a deeper wellspring of energy, connection, and awareness.
So how is ecstasy being described in these sources? Can you give us some specific examples?
Certainly. The source material mentions different types of ecstasy,
Okay.
each with its own unique characteristics.
Sure.
There's white ecstasy, which is characterized by pure bliss and a sense of oneness. There's colored ecstasy,
Okay.
where individuals experience vivid perceptions, heightened senses, and a sense of expanded awareness.
Wow.
And then there's energetic ecstasy, which is all about that surge of energy and vitality that we were talking about earlier.
Wow, so it's not just one monolithic experience. It's
Okay.
a whole spectrum of possibilities.
It is.
And how can people access these different states of ecstasy? Is it something that you can just choose to experience, or does it require specific practices or techniques?
It's not quite as simple as flipping a switch,
Okay.
but the sources do highlight various ways to cultivate these experiences.
Yeah.
Some involve external triggers, like music, movement, or being in nature,
Okay.
which can shift our energy and open us to those ecstatic states.
Okay.
But there are also more subtle internal practices.
Internal practices, what would those look like?
Think back to those postures we were discussing earlier.
Oh.
Even just a few minutes of intentional movement combined with focused breathing can begin to shift your energy and create a sense of openness and receptivity. Some ancient traditions, as studied by Belinda Gore and Felicitas Goodman, they developed specific postures and rituals designed to induce ecstatic states for healing and spiritual growth.
So it's like we're tapping into an ancient wisdom,
Yes.
using our bodies and breath as tools to access these expanded states of awareness.
Precisely. And even in modern hypnotic practices, individuals might be guided into specific postures or movements that can trigger spontaneous releases of energy and emotion, sometimes even leading to those profound ecstatic experiences we were talking about.
This is also fascinating. It's like we're uncovering a hidden language of the body, a way to communicate with our deeper selves and access these incredible states of healing and transformation. But before we delve further into that, let's take a moment to clarify another term that's come up a few times. Euphoria.
Yes,
How is that different from ecstasy, and where does it fit into this puzzle?
that's a great question.
Thanks.
So while ecstasy often involves a profound shift in consciousness
Okay.
and a sense of transcending ordinary reality,
Okay.
euphoria is more grounded in the physical and emotional realms.
Okay.
It's that burst of joy, well-being, and aliveness that we all know and love.
Okay, so it's more like an everyday kind of happiness. Those moments of pure joy and contentment that we can all relate to.
Exactly. Think about the feeling you get after a great workout, when you achieve a long-sought goal, or when you experience a moment of deep connection with someone you love. That's euphoria in action. It's that surge of positive emotion that fills us with energy and vitality.
It sounds like it's a more accessible state than ecstasy,
It is.
something we can experience more readily in our daily lives. But what's happening in our brains and bodies when we experience euphoria? What's the science behind that feeling?
It all comes down to those amazing neurochemicals, again,
Yeah.
dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins.
Oh, yeah.
These are the brain's feel-good chemicals, and they play a key role in creating that sense of joy, motivation, and well-being.
Okay.
So when we engage in activities that are pleasurable or rewarding, our brains release a flood of these neurotransmitters.
So it's like our brain is rewarding us for doing things that are good for us.
Yes.
Both physically and emotionally.
Exactly.
But is it only external things that can trigger this response?
That's the beauty of it.
Okay.
Well, external things can certainly trigger those feel-good chemicals.
Right.
Internal practices like mindfulness, meditation, and breath work can be equally effective.
Oh, interesting.
It's about finding ways to consciously activate those neural pathways.
So we're not just at the mercy of our circumstances.
Right.
We can actually choose to cultivate these positive states.
We can.
That's pretty empowering.
It is.
This is also fascinating. It's like We're gaining a deeper understanding of the intricate interplay between our minds, bodies, and energy,
Yes.
and how we can harness those connections to create a more joyful, fulfilling, and meaningful life.
Yes.
But I have to ask, how does this idea of euphoria tie into the larger themes that we've been exploring? Like trauma, healing, and transformation. Is there a connection there?
That's a very insightful question.
Thank you.
The source material highlights the link between euphoria and the deactivation of the default mode network, or DMN, which is a network in the brain that's active when our minds are wandering, ruminating, or lost in self-referential thought.
So essentially, it's the part of our brain that keeps us stuck in our heads,
Yes.
disconnected from the present moment.
Precisely.
So when we experience euphoria, we're essentially quieting that mental chatter and opening ourselves up to a more expansive way of being.
Exactly. And that's where the real magic happens. When we can quiet the DMN and drop into the present moment, we create space for healing, growth, and transformation.
Powerful stuff.
It is. It's like we're finally able to access the full potential of our being. It's in that state of presence, of open awareness,
that we can truly begin to heal old wounds, shift limiting beliefs, and tap into our innate capacity for joy and connection.
Yes. But we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
Should we take a break?
Let's take a break.
And come back to explore how to integrate all of these insights into our daily lives.
Absolutely. This has been an incredible journey so far, and I'm eager to discover how we can apply these powerful concepts to create real and lasting change in our lives. Welcome back to our deep dive. Before the break, we were talking about all this fascinating stuff about hypnosis, energy healing, ancient spiritual practices.
There's a lot to take in.
It is. So many different threads. And we talked about trauma being stored in the body, the power of the subconscious mind, even different types of ecstatic experiences.
Yeah.
But how do we actually take all this knowledge
and
apply it to our lives? It feels almost overwhelming.
It can feel that way, but remember, you don't have to do everything at once. It's about finding what resonates with you and starting small. Like learning any new skill. You begin with the basics and gradually build from there.
Okay. That makes me feel better. So where would you suggest someone start if they want to begin integrating these concepts into their daily life?
Well, one of the simplest yet most profound practices is mindfulness.
Okay.
It's something you can do anytime, anywhere.
Okay.
And it doesn't require any special equipment or training.
Mindfulness. It's a bit of a buzzword these days.
It is.
Can you tell us what it means in the context of what we're discussing? Because we're not just talking about like noticing pretty flowers.
Right. In this context, mindfulness is about cultivating a state of present moment awareness without judgment. It's about noticing your thoughts, feelings, and sensations as they arise without getting swept away by them. It's like becoming an observer of your own internal experience.
And how does that tie into what we were talking about earlier with trauma being stored in the body?
That's where it gets really interesting. When you practice mindfulness, you start to tune in to the subtle signals your body is sending. You might notice tension in your shoulders when you're feeling stress, a tightness in your chest when you think about a certain person, or a flutter in your stomach when you're facing a difficult decision.
So it's about bringing awareness to those physical sensations that we often ignore or try to push away.
Exactly. And sometimes simply acknowledging those sensations without judgment can be enough to begin releasing them. It's like you're shining a light on something that's been hidden in the shadows for a long time.
That makes sense. If we're not even aware of what we're feeling, how could we possibly begin to heal those deeper wounds?
Precisely. Mindfulness helps us create a space between ourselves and our experiences, allowing us to observe those sensations, thoughts, and emotions without getting caught up in the story. From that place of awareness. We can start to make conscious choices about how we want to respond rather than simply reacting on autopilot.
I'm starting to see how powerful this simple practice can be. But are there specific mindfulness techniques you'd recommend for someone who's new to this?
There are so many wonderful techniques to explore.
Yeah.
But one of the simplest and most accessible is focusing on your breath. Your breath is always with you. It's a constant anchor to the present moment. Simply bringing your attention to your breath, noticing the rise and fall of your chest, the feeling of air entering and leaving your nostrils can help calm the mind and bring you back to the here and now.
It sounds so simple. Yeah, I can imagine it's not always easy to do.
Right.
Our minds have a tendency to wander.
They do. The mind is like a wild monkey constantly swinging from branch to branch.
That's a great visual.
But that's okay. The key is to simply notice when your mind has wandered and gently guide your attention back to your breath.
Okay.
It's not about forcing your mind to be quiet.
Right.
It's about cultivating a gentle awareness of where your attention is going.
So it's about developing a kind of internal observer.
Yes.
A witness to our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in the drama.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another powerful practice.
Okay.
Breath work.
Okay, I've heard of breath work, but I'm not really sure what it entails.
Breath work encompasses a wide range of techniques that involve consciously manipulating your breath to influence your physical, emotional, and mental state.
Okay.
Some techniques are energizing, some are calming, but they all utilize the power of the breath to shift your energy and create a deeper sense of awareness.
So if I'm feeling anxious or stressed, are there specific breathing exercises that can help me calm down?
Yes, absolutely. One simple technique is called box breathing.
Okay.
It involves inhaling for a count of 4,
Okay.
holding your breath for a count of 4,
Okay.
exhaling for a count of 4,
Okay.
and holding your breath again for a count of 4.
Okay.
Essentially creating a square shape with your breath.
I could see how that rhythmic breathing could be really grounding and calming.
It is. And it's a great way to interrupt that fight or flight response that can get triggered when we're feeling stressed or anxious.
Right.
Another technique that can be helpful for calming the nervous system is called alternate nostril breathing,
Okay.
where you alternate breathing through each nostril using your thumb and ring finger to gently close off one nostril at a time.
Interesting.
This can help balance the energy flow in your body and create a sense of peace and equilibrium.
These sound like really practical tools for managing stress and cultivating a sense of inner peace. Are there other breathwork techniques that you'd recommend exploring?
Oh, there are so many.
Yeah.
It's truly a fascinating world to explore.
Okay.
Some techniques are more dynamic and involve rapid breathing patterns, which can be very energizing and even lead to altered states of consciousness.
Wow, okay.
But it's important to approach those with caution and guidance, especially if you're new to breath work.
Okay, so it's important to start slow.
Yes.
And find what feels right for you.
Exactly. And remember, breath work is just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
It works beautifully in conjunction with other practices like mindfulness and energy healing to create a holistic approach to well-being.
Speaking of energy healing,
Yes.
that's another area where I think a lot of people have questions and maybe even some skepticism.
Understandably.
Can you remind us what energy healing is all about and how it can be used to support healing and transformation?
Of course. As we touched on earlier, energy healing encompasses a wide range of techniques that work with the body's subtle energy systems to promote balance, harmony, and healing. These techniques, like magnet therapy, Reiki, and quantum healing, they operate on the principle that we are not just physical beings, but also energetic beings. And when our energy is flowing freely, we feel more vibrant, more alive, and our bodies can heal more effectively.
Okay, so it's about working with the energy that flows through and around us.
Yes.
But what does that actually look like in practice? Can you give us an example of what an energy healing session might entail?
Certainly. Let's take Reiki as an example.
Okay.
Reiki is a gentle, non-invasive form of energy healing where the practitioner places their hands lightly on or slightly above the recipient's body,
Okay.
channeling universal life force energy to promote healing and balance. It's a deeply relaxing and nurturing experience that can help release tension, reduce stress, and promote a sense of well-being.
So it's not about manipulating the body physically.
Right.
It's about working with the energy field to facilitate healing.
Exactly. And while the exact mechanisms of energy healing are still being studied, there is growing evidence to suggest that it can have a positive impact on both physical and emotional health.
I remember you mentioned the HeartMath Institute earlier.
Yes.
And their research on the heart's electromagnetic field.
That's right.
Can you remind us how that ties into this idea of energy healing?
Absolutely. The HeartMath Institute has done groundbreaking research on the power of the heart's electromagnetic field, which is actually much stronger than the brain's.
Wow.
They've found that focusing on positive emotions like gratitude, love, and compassion can create more coherence in our heart's energy field, which in turn can have a positive impact on our physical health, emotional well-being, and even our cognitive function.
So our emotions are not just internal experiences.
Right.
They're literally radiating outward.
Yes.
And influencing our energy field and even our physical health.
Exactly. This research really highlights the interconnectedness of our thoughts, feelings, and energy,
Wow.
and how those factors can influence our overall well-being.
It's like we're rediscovering ancient wisdom through the lens of modern science.
I love that way of putting it. It's about recognizing the power of these subtle energies that have been known and utilized for centuries in various healing traditions around the world.
So we've got mindfulness, breathwork, and energy healing as key practices for integrating these concepts into our lives.
Yes.
What other tools do we have at our disposal?
Yeah.
The source mentioned affirmations and visualization. Can you tell us more about those?
Absolutely. Affirmations and visualization are powerful techniques for working with the subconscious mind, which, as we discussed, plays a huge role in shaping our experiences. Think of affirmations as positive statements that you repeat to yourself, either silently or aloud, to reprogram those limiting beliefs and instill new, empowering thoughts and beliefs.
So it's about consciously choosing the thoughts we want to cultivate rather than letting our minds run on autopilot, replaying those old negative tapes.
Exactly. And the more you repeat those affirmations with feeling and conviction, the more likely they are to take root in your subconscious mind and influence your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
And what about visualization? How does that tie into this process?
Visualization is a powerful technique that involves creating vivid mental images of what you desire to experience in your life. It's about engaging all your senses, sight, sound, touch, smell, and even taste.
Wow.
To make those images as real as possible in your mind's eye.
The
more you can embody the feeling of already having what you desire, the more you're aligning your energy with that outcome and making it more likely to manifest in your reality.
So it's not just about daydreaming.
Right.
It's about creating a powerful, energetic blueprint for what we want to create in our lives.
Exactly. And remember, your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what you vividly imagine. So the more you can immerse yourself in those positive visualizations, the more you're sending powerful messages to your subconscious mind, paving the way for those desires to manifest in your reality.
It's incredible to think that we have that kind of power within us.
We do.
To shape our reality through our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions.
But it's not about forcing things to happen. It's about aligning our energy with what we desire and allowing the universe to co-create with us. It's about surrendering to the flow of life and trusting that the universe has our back.
That's a beautiful way of putting it.
Thank you.
So we've got mindfulness, breathwork, energy healing, affirmations, and visualization as key practices for integrating these concepts into our daily lives.
It's a lot.
It is. But what about those ecstatic experiences we were discussing earlier? How can we cultivate those in a way that feels grounded and accessible? It's not like we can walk around in a constant state of bliss.
You're right. Most of us don't live in a perpetual state of ecstasy. But we can create moments, glimpses, openings to that kind of energy and awareness in our everyday lives.
So how do we do that? Is it about seeking out those peak experiences, like going to a concert or dancing all night?
Those can certainly be powerful catalysts. But it's also about finding those moments of magic in the mundane. Remember those postures we were talking about earlier? Even just a few minutes of intentional movement combined with focused breathing can begin to shift your energy and create a sense of openness and receptivity.
So it's about finding those little pockets of time throughout the day to connect with ourselves, to tune into our energy, and to create space for those moments of joy, connection, and even ecstasy to emerge.
Exactly. It could be as simple as taking a few moments to consciously breathe and feel your feet on the ground. Or spending a few minutes doing a gentle stretching routine, or putting on some music that lifts your spirit and moving your body in whatever way feels good. It's about finding what works for you. What resonates with your body and your soul?
I love that. It's about empowering ourselves to create a life that feels vibrant and alive.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we have the power within us to heal, to transform, and to experience those ecstatic moments of connection, not just on special occasions, but woven into the fabric of our everyday lives.
This has been such a rich and insightful conversation.
It has.
I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for navigating life's ups and downs.
Good.
But I have to ask, what about those more challenging aspects of personal growth, like working through trauma?
Yes.
Is there a place for these ecstatic practices in that process?
That's a really important question.
Thanks.
And it's something we'll explore in more depth in the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back, you guys. We've been on quite a journey
We have.
exploring this interconnectedness of hypnosis and energy healing and these ecstatic experiences.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how trauma can get stored in the body. The power of the subconscious mind and the importance of these practices like mindfulness, breath work, and even working with our energy fields.
Yeah.
But there's a question that's been lingering in my mind.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about, feeling good, expanding our energy, tapping into joy.
Right.
But what about those times when things aren't so bright? How do these practices support us when we're dealing with trauma? Those darker, heavier aspects of healing and personal growth.
That's such an important question,
Yeah.
and one that deserves careful consideration. It's not about bypassing the pain or pretending that everything is always sunshine and roses.
Right.
Trauma work is deep, and it requires a gentle, compassionate approach.
So it's not about trying to force ourselves to feel ecstatic when we're actually hurting.
Exactly. It's not about denying or suppressing those difficult emotions.
Yeah.
Instead, these practices can help you build a strong inner foundation so you can approach those challenging emotions with more resilience and support.
So it's like we're creating a safe container, a sense of inner stability before we start to unpack the heavier stuff.
That's a great way to put it. Remember how we talked about the nervous system getting stuck in that fight, flight, or freeze mode after trauma?
Uh-huh.
Practices like mindfulness, breath work, and energy healing can help regulate the nervous system, bringing it back into a state of balance.
So instead of feeling constantly on edge,
Right.
like danger is lurking around every corner,
Exactly.
we can start to cultivate a sense of calm and safety within ourselves.
Precisely. And that sense of safety is crucial for trauma work. When you feel safe and grounded, you're more able to access those difficult emotions and memories without feeling overwhelmed or re-traumatized.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like trying to have a delicate conversation in the middle of a hurricane.
Right.
You need a calm, quiet space to really hear each other and process what's being said.
That's such a powerful analogy. These practices help us create that inner sanctuary, that calm amidst the storm, so we can approach those deeper wounds with more clarity and compassion.
We also talked about hypnotic crisis and how it can be a pathway to releasing those deep-seated emotions.
Right.
But if someone's already dealing with trauma, wouldn't that kind of intense emotional release be risky?
It's definitely something to approach with caution and care.
Okay.
That's why it's so important to work with a skilled and experienced practitioner,
Sure.
someone who understands trauma
Right.
and can create a safe and supportive environment for those emotions to emerge.
So it's not about forcing a breakthrough.
Right.
It's about creating a space where those wounds can gently unravel and begin to heal.
Exactly. It's about honoring the natural pace of healing and recognizing that everyone's journey is unique.
And what role do those ecstatic experiences play in this process? Can those moments of joy and connection actually support trauma healing?
They absolutely can. Sometimes during the process of healing,
Okay.
those ecstatic experiences emerge organically,
So,
offering a glimpse of the light that exists even in the midst of darkness.
wow, that's a powerful image. It's like a reminder that even in the depths of our pain, there's still a spark of joy,
Yes.
a capacity for connection and wholeness that's always available to us.
Exactly. Those moments of connection, whether we call them ecstasy or euphoria or simply a deep sense of peace, can be incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
They remind us of our own resilience, our capacity for healing, and the inherent goodness that resides within us all.
It sounds like it's all about weaving those different threads together,
Yeah.
building inner resources through practices like mindfulness and breath work, creating a sense of safety within ourselves, and then, as we heal, allowing ourselves to experience those moments of joy, connection, and even ecstasy that remind us of our wholeness.
Beautifully said. It's a journey of self-discovery, of peeling back the layers and remembering who we truly are beneath the wounds and the stories we've carried for so long.
This deep dive has been such a gift, honestly.
bit.
It feels like we've gone from exploring the science of trauma to the mysteries of energy healing, from the power of the subconscious mind to the transformative potential of these ecstatic experiences.
Yes.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of myself, the world around me, and the incredible potential we all have for healing and growth.
It's been an honor to share this journey with you. And remember, this is just the beginning.
Right.
The journey of self-discovery and healing is ongoing. There's always more to learn, more to experience, and more to uncover.
What a beautiful reminder. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into hypnosis, energy, and ecstasy. We hope this conversation has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to explore these fascinating topics further. Until next time, keep diving deep.